Where is my friggin' camera? Ah, there you are, you handsome devil, you. What's up, guys? It's Schmando here, back with another video, and it's cold out. I have my coat on right now. We just got like, I don't know, 18 inches of snow or something like that, something over a foot, so it's crazy, but I'm trying to hold to my goals, like I posted in the last video, trying to post more. So we got another video today here. I got a general question for you guys. Has technology really always been advancing? Or has it just been more advanced in the more recent years? So where I go when I think about that is like, think about your grandma and grandpa using iPhones versus like you and me. You know, there's usually like the stigma of a struggle there, right? Think like 200, 300 years ago, a grandpa in the wood shop working with his tools versus like his grandson working with those same tools, kind of deal. Was there necessarily such a gap, or was that something that like has expanded? The knowledge gap, has that expanded in the more recent years with technology and everything like that? I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. But that brings me to my main point of contention with technology nowadays. Are more electronics on bikes actually better? The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 6, verse 12, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. Putting all your trust into like electronics on bikes and rider aids and stuff like that, is it really helping us? So I have some issues with the electronics. Some like physical issues, more like physical issues with the bike would be, I feel like a bike starts to become more lifeless when you start incorporating all kinds of electronics and stuff like that. Think about all the computer systems that you see on bikes nowadays, you know? I feel like there's a lot of raw emotion to a motorcycle that's just older, you know? It wasn't a fight against who had the most modern electronics. It was who had the smoothest engine, who had the best exhaust note, who had all kinds of different things that were physically related to things that would trademark riding a motorcycle, right? And when you start to focus on some of those other things, like the electronics, while they may be beneficial, I understand, like, you know, ABS might be extremely beneficial, especially like depending on your riding conditions, your season of year, stuff like that. When you start to focus on those things, it takes away from the feeling, you know? Something else that I started to think about is with the electronics on a bike, the more electronics that you have on that bike, the more prone that it's going to be to failure, right? Think about like mechanically. A simple law to live by mechanically is like, especially as an engineer, is like the more you're adding to something, the more complicated it's going to be, the more prone to failure it is, right? There's more parts that possibly can fail. So keeping it simple, some of those older bikes, they're easier to fix, you know? The third note that I started to think of was the more electronics that you're adding, the more distractions tend to come along with that bike. But also, riders start to rely on that technology more than practicing their skills. So like I said before, ABS can be extremely beneficial, but on the other hand, it can also hurt the rider if they ever go onto a bike that doesn't have that. So it can make it difficult in the long run. What I think about is where I started. So I started on a little Suzuki SP125 dual sport motorcycle. It's like a trail motorcycle. It was the bare bones minimum of like motorcycles, but that thing was awesome. And I'll see if I can like throw a picture on the screen real quick. I love that thing. It taught me all kinds of riding skills. It was like my first motorcycle. It taught me all kinds of riding skills. It taught me how to be cautious when I'm riding, but it also taught me how to take care of a bike. And there's a lot that you learn through that hands-on experience that I wouldn't have learned on maybe more of a modern bike. Where I'm at now is getting that DRZ 400. It has taught me a lot more about how to maintenance my motorcycle. I kept it simple still. It's still carbureted, 5-speed transmission, but I love it. It's wonderful because it's simple. It's just fun to ride, you know? So at the end of the day, whether you use a bike with rider aids or whether you're just going based off of your skills, there's only one place that we should be putting our trust. And I go back to Proverbs 3:5-6 for this one. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. So that's pretty much it for today. Let me know what your thoughts are on whether technology is making riding more lifeless, or whether you think it's beneficial. Let's debate it out in the comments. But for now, ride safe, stay warm, get out there, and God bless. Peace.